Good morning, loved ones, or evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Good to see you, kind of. Here at headquarters, we've been doing a lot of various kinds of trainings, and one of the most exciting ones is on DAO Sacred Economics, which I touched lightly upon in the DAO Academy. I've been inspired to share with everyone a little more detail on DAO Sacred Economics in the hope that we can all start making some of these higher level critical thinking choices that help us dictate how we best use our resources, our time, our energy, and how we choose to create different action tasks and how we prioritize. So with that in mind, here we go. The first thing I'm going to talk about here is how we look at value planning in regards to certain actions. So here we have actions, the cost of the action, the value of the action, and then the value type. So here's one action, internet for our facilities here. Its cost is $140 a month, and it brings the value of global connectivity, which we consider to be a critical action type. We have a chef and a food service here. It's $500 a month plus 500 keys. And that's part of our basic income for the headquarters crew, which is we think is very valuable, but we consider that to be a support level action. Then we have the entire HQ development facilitation, and that is coming out to $4,000 a month plus 5,000 keys a month in total. And the value is that we have 9 coordinators here who are leading the various branches of the EN. And we consider that to be a core value type. So some of the other examples we have here are website development, which is $1,200 a month, 400 keys a month, has the value of enhanced connectivity, presentation, and growth, and is a core value type. And some others you can clearly see here. So the difference between a critical value, a support value, and a core value is this. Critical values cover whatever resource gains we need to sustain our growth, so we don't have to start shrinking or dying or cutting off parts or firing people, whatever way you want to look at it. Our core values are leading to additional growth, so we can onboard and bring in more people and evolve in various ways. You could call it a form of evolutionary growth. And then support values don't directly either support those first two things. They don't support directly sustainable growth, and they don't directly support evolutionary growth, but they directly support something that supports one of those two things directly happening. And in my my knowledge and models, anytime over 20% of resources of any kind, including time, are allocated to support objectives, it creates an effect that can be called cancerous growth, or it could just be called a loss situation. And that's when the value of the action is lower than the cost of the action. Now I'm about to explain how we assess correctly the value of different actions in the next video. So how do we accurately assess and extrapolate a United States dollar average out of otherwise sometimes abstract values? Take a look at some things. So value, quantity, cost of acquisition, market standard average, and value funnel leading into direct resource acquisition. Basically look at all of these things anytime I assess. So first, value. So let's say an action point led to the value of us gaining additional subscribers. Let's say for this particular instance, we had a quantity of 1,000 subscribers because of a particular action someone took. Like say, for instance, we hired an agency to advertise for us and get us more subscribers. Well, if we look into the cost of acquiring 3,000 living organic subscribers, I found on average that to be about $3,000. And however, when we look at our 100,000 subscribers that we have, and we extrapolate the value of what I believe our vote holders to be, and what and our direct product sales from our subscribers, so our literal direct income combined with the value in general of our subscribers as they convert into vote holders, from 1,000 subscribers, I find that to be $1,200, and that's based on 100,000 subscribers and about $120,000 of value that was brought in from those 100,000 subscribers, based on about $20,000 in various forms of product sales, as well as about $100,000 worth of vault holders, based on an additional factor that I basically extrapolated out of each of our vault holders being worth right now at a $2,500 rating. And that is based on the average output of all of our vault holders in terms of the value of either the work or the money that we're bringing in, and not the land. And again, that was a long chain of things I just extrapolated. I just want to recap and redo for you. So first, there's a value to each of our vault holders that I believe to be about $2,500 based on like how I can look at our keys ledger and see all of the various forms of income and the various form of production happening from our vault holders. And then, and that's not counting land, by the way, because land is not directly liquidatable or usable. And then I attached that to our 45, 50-ish vault holders, got a value of $90,000, $95,000, $100,000 estimating. And then I noticed that we got up to $20,000 worth of sales from our subscribers. And so based on 100,000 subscribers collectively creating $120,000-ish worth of value, I then equate that the value of these 1,000 subscribers in our value funnel, all the things that are valuable in the end, is $1,200, based on 120,000 going into 100,000 subscribers, meaning $1.2 average per subscriber, and then being applied to 1,000 quantity. Let's go into a simpler example. Gold, 1 ton of it. Say something happens and we get a ton of gold from it, literally. The value of that is $64.3 million at current average standard. But if we sold it, we would probably only get around $62.5 million. And that is a relatively uneducated standard. I did not ask a leading edge professional actively working in the industry right now. But as a quick estimate, I would then say that the value of this was in between these two things and is somewhere around $63 million. Likewise, I would say that the value of acquiring these subscribers is somewhere between 3,000 and 1,200, somewhere around 2,000. So we tell if an action is sustainable and positive if the value it creates between these numbers. So like, let's say if we paid more than $2,000 worth of cash and our keys to get 1,000 subscribers, that would not be a positive rate of growth. I would consider that to be a cancerous growth action. However, if it costs less than 2,000, because that's around the 2,100, 2,200, again, there's flex room for these calculations. They're not super hard. And also there's another thing to be taken into consideration, and that's for optimally, anytime we pay for an action, we're paying partially in cash and partially in keys. And because we have a lot of keys, it's an extra value. So I would much rather pay $1,000 and then pay like $1,500 worth of keys rather than pay $2,000. And if that's part of the cost of the equation, if we are like, say, if we're paying for subscribers and we were paying $2,500 cash, I would say it sounds a little bit too much. It's like right on my borderline there. I don't like it. But if we were paying $1,500 cash or $1,000 cash and then $500 to $1,500 in keys, I would be more likely to say that's a little bit more along my happy line as far as that action being in a positive gain kind of situation relationship with the EN, or a cancerous or negative based situation with the EN. Our final 2 examples here. One's practical, 100 hours of website development, which we just paid $1,200 for. But because this is part of a $100,000 value funnel, which is about how many key sales we've made, we can totally afford this. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, no problem, right? Because we're getting in that much literal, direct, liquidatable cash value. And that's something that's part of the bigger overall, which I'll get into right after this. And that's land. So let's say we get 10,000 acres of land valued at $1.4 million in the network, but we're not doing anything with it. So the value funnel is $0. And we just kind of got to consider these things when we're allocating resources towards acquiring things that might be worth a lot of money, but are of no direct value to us now. And that's part of how we help decide what the critical action is, a core action or a support action. Again, critical actions, that's stuff that supports our sustained growth. Core actions support our evolutionary growth, and support actions could also be applied to something that, say, gives us a large land gain that we don't really use right now, like the eco-village community. However, because the eco-village community directory is also adding map listings to our map, we consider that to be a core action because that's going to directly lead to more key sales, because people can viscerally see that there are physical, literal places to spend their keys, which adds value to the funnel of our key sales, even though it doesn't directly add value to actually using the land property. So just ways to think about stuff. And getting more into sustained growth. Basically, ideally, all of our teams, or at least most of them, are autonomously also using, like creating, bringing in whatever resources they're spending. So if our HQ is spending $4,000 a month, we're also bringing in at least that much money, and ideally more. Not every team needs to be what I consider to be autonomous, but generally about 80% of our teams should be. And if they are, it will be very easy for us to use a little bit of our excess to fund the support teams that are not producing revenue. But just at this stage in our growth, particularly, heavily encouraging people to put their actions into areas where we can either, where we can regenerate whatever the cost of us paying you to do that action is. So here we have a little map we drew up of around the 9 people around our core. We identified 24 people in our inner council we want to be more involved with. And we have each decided to take out some time to connect with a handful of people in our network. After we're done really kind of gridding in our heart field here, we're going to be extending out to our family and our friends before we hit our network and go major public. This is a draw up of our current critical level and important core level actions that we're encouraging all of our core members and everyone else to take. We're gonna have a spreadsheet up of this here soon. But in the meantime, we've made 5 different teams that are critical. That's website development, marketing, Steemit, onboarding, and sales. Website development, we're doing a bunch of stuff, and that's specialized work. I don't need to get into it. Marketing, we're asking people to make social media posts we can put into our campaign of 1 post a day that we can have to these target audiences. This is something anyone can help us with. We just need to know we have the rights to repost, like lawfully from the author, or you can just help us make some posts. It doesn't really need to be about the EN. It's just good content. We're gonna take that content, we're gonna put it on Steam. We're also saying up to 7 hours a week are basic income billable and high priority agenda items for everyone who wants to sign up for the Steemit and start working on it and playing on it, earning revenue. We're also saying 3 hours a week spent on our heart share is really valuable as a critical action, and up to 5 hours a week on permaculture and or personal and family oriented leads for vote holders are also critical level actions. Some other examples of critical level actions are up to 20 eco community leads a day and 100 at a total time, 5 publishers per week, 20 hours doing sales leads, doing glass sales, CBD sales, and any time spent selling keys. And then if anyone were to spend, say, make over $4,000 in key sales a month, that being like full, like that's all 88 hours of your basic income, basically. Like if that's all you do is do things that lead to that many key sales, that is a critical action. And these are our critical ones right here, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have a spreadsheet out here soon, but really calling in help on these things is our next like group level intensive focuses. And one other thing just to zoom in into sales here is that ultimately everything is under ambassadors. And we have 4 main sections here now. We have eco villages, we have direct sales, we have publishers and elite artists, and we have teams for each of these. And again, keys and glass sales are a high-end cash payout. Eco Village is high-end key payout. Publishers, high-end key payout. Elite artists, high-end key payouts. And we are calling in the next level of help for this team to really activate. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. So much love. Yes,